Today, we're going to talk about a powerful concept that can completely transform the way you attract women, especially as you get older. And the most fascinating part? It has nothing to do with wealth. It has nothing to do with physical appearance. And it certainly has nothing to do with the cheesy pickup lines that flood the internet. The reality is that these two simple words awaken something much deeper in a woman's mind. They trigger emotional connection points that most men don't even realize exist. And today, I'm going to reveal exactly what those two words are. I'll also explain the psychology behind why they work. But there's one small detail that almost everyone overlooks. Ironically, it's this very detail that separates the men women quickly forget from the men they continue thinking about long after the conversation is over. Stay with me until the very end because what you're about to learn could completely change the way you communicate. Let me share something with you. Over the years, I've studied thousands of interactions between men and women. And do you know what I discovered? The men who create the strongest attraction aren't always the most handsome. They aren't necessarily the wealthiest either. They're the men who understand one incredibly simple principle: direct emotional communication. While most men waste time in meaningless conversations, trying too hard to impress, constantly seeking approval, or worrying about saying the wrong thing, the men who truly stand out take a completely different approach. They rely on two words that function like master keys to the female subconscious. You see, the human brain naturally responds to certain patterns of communication. And when these two words are used correctly, they create what psychologists often describe as positive emotional anchoring. So let's begin. The first phrase is, "I want." It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But pay close attention to what happens when a man says "I want" with confidence, clarity, and genuine intention. First, he's taking ownership of his own desires. He's not asking for permission. He's not fishing for approval. He's not cautiously testing the situation. He's simply expressing himself directly. And here's something many men never fully understand about female psychology. Women are naturally drawn to men who know what they want. Why? Because it communicates leadership. It demonstrates decisiveness. It shows that you're capable of making choices instead of placing the burden of every decision on her shoulders. Think about these two examples. Imagine saying, "I'm not really sure, maybe we could do something later if you'd like." What does that communicate? Uncertainty. Fear of rejection. Lack of confidence. Now compare it with this. "I want to take you out for dinner this Saturday. I know a great place you'll enjoy." Can you feel the difference? You're not pleading for attention. You're taking initiative. You're creating an experience before it even begins. And understand something important. This isn't about being controlling or aggressive. It's about being assertive. It's about having enough confidence to occupy your space in the world and comfortably say, "This is what I want." When you communicate this way, you naturally activate something often referred to as sexual polarity. You position yourself as the masculine energy willing to lead, which often encourages her feminine energy to respond naturally. Now let's move to the second phrase. And honestly, this is the one that changes everything. The second phrase is, "I appreciate." Pay close attention because this is where everything comes together. If all you ever say is "I want," you may come across as self-centered. It can sound as though you're only focused on getting something from the interaction. But when you combine "I want" with "I appreciate," something powerful happens. You create balance. You show that you're a man who takes initiative, but you're also emotionally aware. You're confident without being selfish. Let me give you an example. Suppose you're talking with a woman you're genuinely interested in. Instead of simply saying, "I want to see you again," you say, "I want to see you again because I truly appreciate the way you think." Conversations with you have a depth that's difficult to find. Notice what changed. You're no longer expressing only attraction. You're showing that you notice her. You're recognizing qualities beyond her appearance. You're communicating that you value her as a person. And believe me, that's incredibly attractive. Why? Because most men stop at physical compliments. They comment on beauty. They comment on appearance. They focus only on what everyone else can already see. But you're doing something different. You're acknowledging her personality, her perspective, her character, her unique energy. And that's where genuine emotional connection begins. Here's another important distinction. When your appreciation is sincere, you're not communicating neediness. You're communicating choice. You're not saying, "I need your attention." You're saying, "I choose to spend my time with someone whose qualities I genuinely admire." Women can recognize that difference almost instantly. If you're enjoying what you're learning so far, take a second to leave a like below. It lets me know you're serious about improving yourself and becoming a better communicator. Now let's talk about the mistake that ruins everything. The biggest mistake is using these words without congruence. So what exactly is congruence? Congruence means that your words, your tone of voice, your facial expressions, and your body language all tell the same story. Imagine saying, "I want to take you to dinner." But your shoulders are rounded. You're staring at the floor. Your voice shakes. Your eye contact disappears after 2 seconds. Do you see the problem? Your words are trying to project confidence. But your body is broadcasting insecurity. And the female mind is remarkably sensitive to those inconsistencies. It's almost like an emotional lie detector. People may not consciously notice the mismatch, but they certainly feel it. That's why, when you say, "I want," stand tall. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Maintain calm eye contact. Speak with a steady voice. Don't rush your words. Then, when you say, "I appreciate," slow down slightly. Allow a brief pause before speaking. Let your sincerity come through naturally instead of trying to force emotion. Real confidence never needs to be loud. It only needs to be genuine. This exact process is something I explain in much greater detail inside my complete guide, Attraction Secrets. There, I don't simply teach you what to say. I show you how to develop the right energy, presence, and emotional calibration so every word you speak carries authentic weight instead of sounding rehearsed. But there's one more element that many people overlook. Timing. This part is incredibly important. You're not supposed to walk around repeating, "I want" and "I appreciate" in every conversation like some programmed robot. That would feel unnatural. Instead, use these words during meaningful moments. Use them when you genuinely want to communicate your intentions. Use them when you want to create an emotional memory that lasts. For example, after you've shared a wonderful evening together, look into her eyes and simply say, "I want to do this again. I really appreciate the energy you bring whenever we're together." That's it. Simple. Authentic. Memorable. In that single moment, you've created a positive emotional anchor. Later, whenever she thinks about you, she'll remember how you made her feel. She'll remember feeling understood. She'll remember feeling appreciated. She'll remember feeling desired. And those emotions tend to stay with people much longer than clever lines or expensive gestures ever could.